Today we're going to be installing an L desk using Highland Cabinetry's new Euro line. I'm Dawson from Highland Cabinetry Colorado. We're going to have to build a toe kick, basically just a blocking frame to set these on. So this cabinetry is also going to have a 3-inch filler, get kind of to space it off the wall. So what we're going to have to do is basically make blocking, screw that to the wall so we can put the cabinet to that and then screw it to the blocking, just so it's secure to this wall. So I'm going to start with the toe kick first, just so I can set the cabinet on and then scribe that filler to the wall. So for the toe kick, we did a 4.5-inch tall toe kick. So just use some scrap plywood that we ripped down to 4.5, and we're basically just gonna build it almost like a wall laid down and then just set the cabinets on top. So now I'm just gonna level this first and then screw it to the wall. So now I'm basically just going to install the toe kick to the wall just for added stability. These are the self-drilling kind of washer head screws. Now that we know this toe kick is level, we'll know the cabinet is plumb. The wall is not plumb. So at the top, it's 2.5. At the bottom, it's almost 3. So since we have a 3-inch filler here, we want to set the largest value to 3. And then we're going to basically scribe that filler to the 2.5. These fillers come in 3 inches, so we can't really go bigger. With Euro cabinets, you want to have the filler spaced out 3/4 of an inch, just because then it's flush with the door. How I would do this just easily for Euro cabinets is, I know this side is 3/4 of an inch, so I'm going to flush this up, use a 3/4 inch block, and basically just scribe. I'm going to use this piece as what's going to attach to the frame, so we're going to basically screw to this piece through the side of this cabinet, basically the blocking for the filler, and then screw this blocking to the filler. So right now I'm going to set it 3/4 of an inch back, install it, scribe that with a 3/4 inch scribe block. Once I cut it to the contour of the wall, I'll flush it up and then I'll make the filler flush with this end. It's kind of a multi-step process, but just a good way to do it. So I'll install this basically to the cabinet, and then once I scribe and get that perfect filler to the wall, then we'll move it to be flush. Since we bumped it over 3/4 of an inch, just gonna use a 3/4 inch block and then just scribe up it. You can also use a scribe tool, but this works just as well. It was over that 3/4 of an inch. Now we're just gonna set it to be basically flush with that side, and then it should be perfect on the wall. So that is the filler installed. And now that we know kind of how far this is away from the wall, we can measure and do our blocking and basically install that blocking to the wall first and then the cabinet to the blocking. Basically, we're just using a 2x4 as the blocking. The blocking is basically going to get screwed to the wall first to make up that gap that we have from the filler. So since this attachment to the wall is basically just keeping it from kind of rocking back and forth, we don't need crazy strong drywall anchors. So we're just gonna use these guys. All right, when I'm installing these Euro cabinets, I try and stay in line with basically the shelf screws. It just makes it look like there's not so much random screws. And then after screwing to the wall, I always check level. I check level probably like 3 or 4 times through the process, just because I'm paranoid about it. But yeah, now that we're screwed to the wall, cabinet is still perfectly level. We can get to going the next cabinet, screw it together. We're gonna clamp these together. So we want the top and then the face to be as flush as possible. And then where I connect these together is basically between these 2 holes right here. So basically this hinge plate is gonna go right here, and then the hinge clips in. So if you screw them together in the middle of those, then all you'd have to do is remove the plate if you're ever to take it apart, but then it would hide the screw completely. So we're just gonna throw on the hinge plates right now. The hinges come assembled like this, and you just kind of push this tab on the back and they pop right off. And then Highland Cabinetry comes with, you can see these 2 pre-done holes for the hinge plates, and they have plastic inserts. So here's the Euro walnut doors, and for installing the hinge, they just kind of pop right in place. You do the 2 provided screws into what are already pre-drilled holes, and then just clip it onto the cabinet. So I want to be pretty gentle with these screws, so I just use a hand screwdriver versus the impact drill that can sometimes strip them out. You should be able to clip them into place. There we go. So these hinges do have very similar adjustment to our standard shaker doors. They have the adjustment out and in, and then this one forward and back. And then to go up and down, you would actually loosen the mounting screws, and they have a slot that they slide up and down in. They have these caps that basically hide the adjustments. So you just clip that in, just press fits in, and then kind of cleans up the look of the hinge. And on this cabinet, since we hid the screw behind, which you can kind of see right there, there's a screw. We don't have to do a fast cap. But we do need to do a fast cap on the screw connecting the toe kick. So that's the basics on installing this L using Highland Cabinetry's new Euro line. Should be ready for top.